All right, so this full moon in Leo today is pretty significant. I wasn't planning on doing any kind of ritual until the 20th, just because that's when like the true portal of that Saturn, Neptune going into Aries at 0 degrees was happening. So I was gonna kind of like harness that pony and ride it until I looked at the information on this Leo transit, and it's pretty significant. Now, I want you to think back on July 24th of 2025. Like, go back in your calendars, and I want you to look at what you were doing during that time. Like, what kind of appointments did you have? What kind of activities were you doing? Like, what kind of conversations were you having? And I want you to ask yourself, like, was there anything that you started or started to develop a passion around during that time? Because there's something about this lunation that is kind of igniting your heart and bringing it forward around whatever that conversation was that you were having in July, on July 24th, specifically in 2025. Now, what's really interesting is that coming up this summer, and I'm going to read from my notes, this summer, Leo goes into the South Node, and it goes there from July of 2026 to March of 2028. I want you to look and see like where your North and South nodes are in your chart. I'm actually on the Leo Aquarius axis. I actually have the Leo in my North node, so it's like my current life, my current life representation, what's going to be happening in my life now. And then your South node is always like what happened in the past. But what's really interesting is this full moon in Leo is like an in-between point between that new moon in Leo that happened on the 24th of July to what is happening on it going into the South node for like almost 2 years. It's like a year and a half, July 2026 to March 2028. There are going to be themes coming forward of like, anything that you're building right now. I want you to ask yourself, like, is your heart really in it? I took a couple other notes as well. What is trying to come through you right now? It doesn't matter whether you are experiencing a lot of passion, if you are maybe experiencing compassion fatigue, if you're exhausted, if you feel stuck, any of those feelings right now, I want you to ask yourself, where's your heart sitting in all of it? Because I feel like that's the core, the crux of like this entire message. Now, at the same time, I think that Saturn just went into Pisces for like the final time, within the past couple days, and that's almost highlighting some stuff in your career and purpose sector, so it may be like manifesting that way too. But I've got a couple journal prompts that are going to help you navigate this lunation. I do want to emphasize that if you weren't planning on doing a ritual, kind of like I wasn't planning on, I would encourage you to do it. I'm going to be doing something tonight that's really sweet. I'm going to be unbinding myself from things that no longer belong to me, that have no place in where I'm going. And then I'm going to be asking for, my heart to create the new beginnings that I'm going to be moving into in this next year. Very specific in that way, but going with my heart and heart forward. So here are the prompts that I want you I think are going to be really helpful on this journey for you. So the first one is, what wants to come through me right now? What is trying to come through you? What are your conversations sounding like? What does your inner world look like right now? I want you just to kind of write it down, and you can automatic write it. It doesn't have to be a journal prompt. The next one is, where can I be in full expression? Like, what are some things that you could be in like full authenticity, but like, even if the full expression is rage or anger or helplessness, or if it's not like, pretty and vanilla and like perfect, what is the other side of that? Like, how is it truly coming through? And how can you tap into some energies, or, even rely on some people around you to help you alchemize that? And when I say alchemize, I don't mean process it, express it specifically. And then the last two, what have I been muting for approval? I have this as well. I always take my own notes when I'm like writing about the moon. But what have I been muting for approval? So what have been certain ways that you're like holding yourself back in order to gain approval from other people, or even to gain visibility from other people? What are you doing to hold back? And then, what does my inner world look like, and how am I talking about it is the most important one. Now, this is the stuff that isn't up here. It's not up in your intuition. It's not even like what you're speaking about out loud. It's what you're feeling in here. Are you really talking about the shit that you care about? Are you really, like having deep conversations? Are you keeping like things surface? And whatever the motivation is, like, it doesn't matter. It's more so of, is there anything that you're not expressing, that you're holding like yourself back from, that you need to be stepping into fully? And that goes from career, family, relationship, friendships, your inner world, whatever that looks like. That is the time. Like, this is the time right now to gain clarity around that, because we're going into eclipse season, and eclipse season always tosses us into this like insane funnel of energy, and we will be in it. I think there's 2 more eclipses happening in March, and we've got February is wild for the energy, because we even have like a Mercury retrograde at the end of this month too, and we've got like 2 solid lunations, and then we have also the Saturn transit into Aries. There's going to be a lot of upheaval happening. I want you to focus on just the clarity that you can gain from it with those journal prompts that I had recommended. So good luck. I mean, I would just recommend, even if it's like lighting a candle and looking at the moon and gathering some snow water for like your future spiritual work or spell work, just go ahead and do that. Do something that marks tonight and gather the clarity from it, from your journal prompts. It's going to be really important for that South Node, like axis transit this coming summer.